Welcome to Thunder Hair Time, Brian.
I'm Janelle Pizarro.
And I'm Frederick Philip Von Weiss. And thank you for consuming the Thunder Nerds, a conversation with the people behind the technology.
I love what they do.
And do tech good.
We are doing tech today, everybody. We are live at DevFest, Florida. Come on in. We have a live audience. 2019 in Orlando, Florida. We are at where?
The Disney Contemporary Resort. It's magical.
It is magical.
Very magical.
And who are we with today? We are with Mr. Lorenzo, Chris Lorenzo. Yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Chris Lorenzo. I'm a distinguished engineer from Comcast, so glad to be here.
Yeah, very happy to have you. Distinguished.
Yes. You
have the peacoat that you're like Obama love.
And I got nerdy glasses with like the little Scotch tape.
It's part of his title. They hand him a little wooden pipe with bubbles. I am distinguished.
Yeah, actually,
yes.
You get a monocle when you become distinguished. So that's the
Stop.
yeah.
Yo.
I inherited the SIM monocle, which is an actual monocle, like a real monocle.
Wow.
So I have that in safekeeping somewhere in my house.
So when you get older, you'll replace it with like a reading glass one.
Well,
so you don't have to have.
Or you can make a smart monocle.
I wanted to do like a little gray hair.
Smart monocle replaces Google Glass.
I see you. Fantastic Four. I got it. Yeah.
Chris, for our audience, do you mind just telling everybody what you do?
I wonder that all the time.
Well, this might be a good opportunity to tell your company what you do then, I guess. Actually, in-laws.
Can we cut? We need to figure out what I do. What do I do? It's kind of funny. So I've been.
Who's your manager's name? What's your manager's name?
I've been doing web development.
He's like, stop.
Yeah, I get paid. What do I do? I take the requirements from the business people and
bring
I
it to the engineers.
Yeah. That's what I do. But I'm a web developer, so I've been doing web development for 15 years, or even longer than that. I've been at Comcast for 11 years.
Wow.
And my day-to-day, a lot of times, I like to go in and do pair programming with a lot of the junior engineers and just spend time with them. And the reason I do that is because I'm doing a lot of public speaking and traveling. So I try not to get into any of the projects that have like deadlines and like this is due in 3 months. So I go in, I help out with those projects. I pair program with a lot of folks who are doing things, and then I get out. So it's a really good gig. I have no responsibility.
So are
you a Comcast evangelist then?
I guess you could say I am. And considering before we went live, you did say that you loved Comcast.
Ooh.
I remember hearing that.
Yes.
This is literally live.
That's on record.
Because he was like, I love Universal Studios. And I was like, that's owned by Comcast, right?
It's on the record, Brian.
I'll be going there on Monday.
I will only love Comcast if they move into my neighborhood in St. Pete.
Yes.
Please.
So Brian loves Comcast. We'll get past that point, but yeah.
Well,
awesome. Well, there.
Yeah.
Tell us more about you besides that.
Yeah. Oh, about me. So I'm married. I have 2 kids. My wife is here. She was in Epcot all day having a blast. She was saddened that there wasn't a Korea place in Epcot, but she did have like the sushi.
Oh, she's never been.
She went to the French. She's never been to Disney World.
Oh.
This is her first time to Disney World, and she went by herself today.
Did she go to the my favorite place in Epcot is the drinking place where you can try the different sodas from around the world?
I don't know if she went there. I haven't gotten a full report from her.
They have like a cool pineapple soda that's there.
You get the knowledge down a little later.
Yeah. I saw her for like 15 minutes, and then she went back, and now she's like sleeping. She was up and she got in first thing and she rode the monorail and we took video of the monorail because my son's 4.5 and he like loves trains.
I get it.
So he will just watch that over and over again. And next year, if you talk to the organizers and I come back and speak, I'm going to bring my oldest son and we'll just like ride around on the monorail.
That's amazing.
Little boys love trains.
It's like forget paying for the park, right? You can ride the monorail for free.
Yeah, my son loves trains
for the cost of parking.
And he would be happier doing that than actually going into the park.
That is actually the best ride at Disney. I don't know if you all know this.
And there's no line?
No.
I mean, you just immediately get in?
Yeah, you always
don't have to
hear
get
different
off.
languages.
Yeah.
There's so many different people.
And everybody's so nice to you.
Yes.
And they have no idea you didn't pay for a park ticket.
Absolutely.
They're just happy that you're here.
There's no one that pokes you and tells you, no, you have to move this way. You have to move this way. Like, no. you can go wherever you want.
You know, my favorite place to eat at Epcot is actually Canada.
Canada.
Yeah, I know, right?
Do they have food?
I tell people that, but like the food in
It's
Canada
poutine,
is
right?
amazing.
You're wrong. Mexico.
I didn't say your favorite.
No,
I said my favorite.
the
So I don't
best-
think I'm wrong.
The best.
I
We're
said
going
my
to Canada
favorite.
in 2 months, so we're gonna go to Montreal, and my wife just wants to get poutine,
Amazing food.
which is
What,
French fries with gravy on top.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's just
Why not?
That's what
Did
Canadians
you
do.
eat at
Yeah.
Mexico?
It's like why?
Yeah,
You ate in the temple?
yeah, I loved it. Don't get me wrong.
How's
Canada-
Canada better than Mexico?
Canada, a wonderful food.
I would love to hear you
So
say
wrong.
Mexico like a million times.
Moose
because it is
sushi?
adorable. Literally.
Sushi
yes.
is
Moose sushi, Canada.
I'm just
Everyone's like,
It was really awesome.
Okay.
what is like
yeah.
the coolest project you worked on currently? Like in the past year, not January, this year, but like, last year.
Yeah, so my previous team was XFi. So we built internet.xfinity.com, and the XFi project, you probably see advertised a lot from Comcast. It is to control your gateway and router settings. So it allows all our customers with an XB6 or an XB3 gateway. So you rent one of the gateways from Comcast. You then have parental controls. You can
Ooh.
set bedtime modes. You can pause devices. So I always like to say, if my kids aren't being good to me or being good to mom, like I just shut off their internet. And that's like the best thing ever.
Nice.
That's
So
really
yeah, so we built the
love your
website for
kids?
that. I do love my kids. My kids just have like a Kindle tablet, and my daughter actually, who's 2.5, she's the youngest. She has the iPod, not the iPod. What's the
iPod Touch?
the
Mini?
No, the
Pad?
big
Nano.
iPad.
Yeah.
Pro.
But it's the mini one.
Oh yeah,
Mini.
iPad Mini.
I don't even know words. Words are hard.
Words are hard.
Hard, they
I don't
can
like
be.
words.
So yeah, I built that with the team. So there's like 30 front-end engineers on that.
Whoa.
And I've moved off that team, and now I'm in the customer experience side of things,
Ooh.
making that a better place. And particularly right now, what we're focused on is building shareable components, which is like a big buzzword, right?
Yes!
Are you still Polymer?
No.
No?
So
Oh,
do we want to go in that
Drama.
first?
Yes.
We'll go
Let's
into
do
Polymer
this. Okay,
next.
I gotta turn my chair for this.
But yeah, we are trying to build out shared components. And a lot of times when you're in a large company like Comcast, you have lots of engineering teams all building the same things over and over again. And like payment is one of like the best things. Like accepting your credit card is really complicated. And we have probably 5 or 6 different sites that all take payment.
using different forms and
Using different forms and different
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And as soon as you do that, you now have 5 or 6 sites going through PCI compliance, which is really expensive. And then all the security behind that.
Yeah, I
it's
hadn't
like,
even thought of that. Yeah.
so we want to get to the point where it's like, we'll have one team build a payments.xfinity.com or xfinity.com/payments, and you send everybody there, and everybody can use that, and it becomes like this
Save
API.
money, and it's
And that's like a shared component.
Whoa.
I mean, it's $1 million,
So fancy.
multi-million.
See what you pay him?
That's what I do. I'm just saving the company so much money by being here at Disney. But it is a Saturday too. So
It
I'm
is.
here
Oh,
working
yeah.
on a Saturday.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean,
Unbelievable.
the sheer amount of just dedication that you put into your job
I do love my
on
job,
Saturday.
which is good to say.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
It is good to be happy. There's a lot of amazing people at Comcast, a lot of great engineers to work with. And that's why I've been there for so long. And it's always challenging. Like a lot of people don't think of Comcast as this huge tech company, but it really is tech companies on the East Coast. They have the new Comcast Technology Center, which just opened, and it is an open floor plan. It houses 4,000 engineers.
Wow.
And we tackle some of the biggest problems, right? So like the XFi site, there's approximately 30 million internet subscribers that Comcast has, and like all of them can use XFi. So you have huge amount of traffic using our site, and you have to build stuff that can scale to handling millions of people, which is not easy to do.
That's like kind of incredible that you're able to almost like jump teams and be like, where am I needed the most? Where is my love and my nurture needed in code? And it's true. I mean, that's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
That he pairs with juniors and like builds things that are buggy, right? Like he's like, okay, these are buggy.
I don't build.
Oh wait,
buggy.
sorry, English is hard.
Yes.
But like they're already buggy. And you're like, okay,
He's a
how
monocle.
about
He doesn't do that.
how about I put some like glitter dust on this, and now it's beautiful.
It's actually kind of funny. I'm like a code ninja.
Oh, heard.
And not in the good way. So I come in
code ninja.
and I break things, and I chop things up, and I build like really quick prototypes. And I'm like, look at this, it's working. And yeah, and then I get out, and they're like, then they spend the next month and a half like making it, productionizing it, and adding tests and making sure and removing all the bugs. That's how I write code. But that's the fun thing. I get things that work.
It started.
Yeah, I get it started.
That's what matters.
And then I hand it off.
Or you delete all the code, probably.
Sometimes I do delete code. I'm like, you guys don't need this anymore. And it's like a third of the application gone. Like, fix things. I go in and drop some dynamite and get out.
Like, look, this little bit right here works.
Continue making it go in this direction.
So you said, though, that you're not using Polymer anymore? What have you? Yeah,
so we have a lot of applications written in Polymer, and we're going to be switching off of Polymer to React. And that is not technically my top choice. I will say that first.
What is your top choice?
I like Preact. It has the same API as React, but it's only 3 kilobytes versus 35 kilobytes. The reason for React is it's backed by Facebook. And Facebook has created a great framework that they have put in production. All of their stuff is running on it. And they have great release cycles and migration plans.
That's a big shift, though, Polymer to React. It's quite a different.
And I think the biggest problem with Polymer, like Polymer is great. Like it is great. It is like what web development should be, in my opinion. But the problem is like the team behind it is not focused on supporting production apps and getting stuff out in production. They are constantly changing and revisiting. They had Polymer 1, Polymer 2, Polymer 3, and now they're kind of like Polymer 3 is dying, and we're switching over to lit HTML, and they constantly are building new tools rather than making stuff more stable and simpler.
Isn't Polymer more of a like closer to, I guess, what a real web component is, as opposed to React, which is a framework that allows you to assemble components within the React framework, while Polymer is like, hey, this is a web component.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The Polymer team pushed for the web component standard, and they got that accepted by all the browsers. So now all the browsers are implementing custom elements. They all have it in from last year. Edge is actually working on implementing it right now.
So why not custom elements?
Custom elements are great. I think the problem with custom elements is, yes, you can build things in custom elements. Shadow DOM adds some complexity as far as like sharing components. Not all the browsers have that on. Yeah. And once you enable that, you get problems with automated testing with Selenium, because Selenium can't penetrate the Shadow DOM to actually click on stuff and do things. So that makes it a lot more complicated.
I know this is probably off topic, but you know we're getting close to the end here, and we didn't even talk about what your talk is today.
Was that a thing that we were supposed to talk about?
Yeah.
So my talk this morning was Outrun the Bear: Performance Optimizations for Progressive Web Apps.
Outrun the Bear.
Yeah, it's called that.
The bear?
The bear in this case is like bad performance.
Okay.
Like you're trying to run fast so that the bear doesn't catch you, gobble you up. Well, I mean, not that gruesome. The bear wants to catch you to give you a hug.
Oh, okay. It's a bear. It's a loving hug.
Yeah.
Oh, bear hug. Gotcha.
Bears don't really eat people. They just give you hugs.
I want the bear to give me a hug.
It's magical. We're in Disney. Go.
Okay. Yeah.
This is a PG show. My kids might listen to this.
Okay.
So yeah, I originally gave the talk at that conference, which is an outdoor camping type theme. Conference.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
It's called That Conference.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
That Conference.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
So yeah, have you heard of That Conference?
I actually.
Yeah, so it was a great conference, but gave the talk. I gave the 30-minute version of it today, which I've gone from giving it for an hour and a half, hour and 30 minutes. So I have like 3 different flavors of it.
Wow.
It's a really great talk that I love, because a lot of times I like to say, like, product owners, they say, build a responsive site, and this needs to work on mobile. And you go and do that, and you add all the CSS for it, but your site still takes 25 seconds to load on mobile because you didn't really build it for mobile. Yeah. And the point is, like, if you're going to build a responsive site, you need to make that thing fast. You need to get it to load in 5 seconds, and that's nearly impossible to do. 10 seconds, if you get it in 10 seconds, you get thumbs up by me. But yeah, that was kind of the thing of my talk of like how to actually optimize for production, how to speed up your site.
What are some of the takeaways, if you don't mind us talking about it? You don't have to give away everything, but.
So I did send out the slides on Twitter. I'm Chief CLL, so you can check those out. There's a lot to it. I start off with talking about frameworks. So I go into like Angular is 57 kilobytes, React is 35 kilobytes, Polymer is 10 to 17 kilobytes, and the too long didn't read is send down less JavaScript code. Do everything that you're doing with your site and do it in half the amount of JavaScript code, which is like, cool, how do I do that? And it's really about optimizing. This is all that they need for this page. So I'm just going to send down that and then lazy loading in additional stuff after they get that initial rendering.
Right, yeah.
And it's challenging to do. But if you're Comcast and you have like 30 front-end engineers working on a team, you should be doing that, right? That should be a priority. You should have enough engineers to do performance and focus on performance. So
nice.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, my question I like asking is there's a lot of effort that goes on to make a presentation, and a lot of people who are attendees don't realize it. And you just mentioned that you had 3 different talks, one that was 30, one that was an hour, one that was an hour and a half. So I'm curious, could you give us a little bit behind the scenes of the amount of effort and what you did to create this presentation?
I would love to. So usually what happens is you submit your talks to a conference like months ahead of time. And then you get selected. And once you're selected, you basically have about 3 months before like the conference. And I start thinking about it even when I'm like submitting the talk of what I'm going to talk about. And I have a rough outline in my head of like, these are kind of my high levels. But 2 months before, I will actually do an outline. I start gathering images and thoughts. I talk to other people, like picking out all those photos. I spend 2 months basically building up that talk. Because I like to deliver a good talk. Like if I'm going out, I'm going to be presenting to people. I'm going to be taking up their time. I want to make sure that I have content that is relevant to them. I practice the talk like 4 or 5 times before even giving it to an audience. So I just go through it for timing. And then like before the talk, you're just constantly like moving slides back and forth. And I think like logical order, does it make sense to go from this thing to this thing to this thing? And then I get feedback from John, like I'll give it to him and I'm like, what do you think? Do you think this is good? And then I'll give it internally at Comcast to be like, hey, give me any feedback. And then each time I give the talk at different conferences, this one's been very popular. So I've had probably 6 conferences that I've given this talk from. Where every time that I do it, I like, oh, what about this? And I could add this and remove that. And the first time I gave it, it was at Coder Cruise, and it was completely offline. And I was originally going to do the talk that I was doing live demoing and going through the Chrome developer tools and doing performance measurements. And I'm like, I have no internet on a boat. So I was like, okay, I got to take screenshots of everything. And even just taking screenshots, like of opening up the developer tools, getting to a specific state, taking a screenshot, putting it into the docs, like that takes. So yeah, it is a tremendous amount of time. And then I add links to like resources for more information. But it's fun because when I go up and I actually give the talk, I don't have it directly written out of these are the exact words I'm going to say. I just go and wing it every single time. Which has its pros and cons. Today, I nailed it. I was exactly 30 minutes on the talk.
Nice.
And I gave the 30-minute talk at some other conference, which was supposed to be 30 minutes, and I finished in 20 minutes. And I had the same like 100 slides. I added a few more, 100 slides. I went through 100 slides in 20 minutes. And I was just talking so fast. So now I'm focused on pacing, just to be like, okay, if I get to slide 50, I should be like halfway through, and that way. I can slow down, or where I should speed up. But anybody out there have to get started. The first time I spoke, I was a nervous wreck. I was like, oh my goodness, it was awful. And now I've given so many talks. I think I've given like 30 talks now, where I'm just like, I just go up on stage. I'm just like so excited to talk to people. I'm like, check this out. This is such great information.
I know things.
Yeah. And
I know.
It's having the confidence to know that you don't know things.
Yeah.
Like you come to this talk and it's like, these are the things I kind of know. I don't know all of the things. Like I gave the intro to progressive web apps, and I was like, I spent 2 weeks studying service workers before this and actually doing coding with it and playing with things. And I started the talk by saying, I have no idea what I'm doing because this is really complicated and it's terrible in a lot of ways.
Aww.
Because it's like, it's JavaScript that you don't really do because it's inside of a service worker and a web worker context rather than like your normal JavaScript kind of in the web browser.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone like appreciated that. They're like, same. Like we also don't.
I think that's the fun part is like being humble, and it's great when you're pair programming with junior engineers who literally like times. And I like go in there and I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I'm telling this and I'm like, I'm gonna go Google this because I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just programming. I'm like, I think that will work. I think that will work. And they'll be like, this is gonna take me an hour too. And I'm like this distinguished engineer. And it's like, it's gonna take you an hour to do it too because our brains still work the same way, right? It still takes time to research and look things up.
Yeah.
So I think I answered your
question. That was
way
fantastic. No, that was perfect.
Hey, how can people get to know you? What's the best way people could find out about you?
So I am Chief CLL on Twitter. I'm also doing live streaming on Twitch, Chief CLL as well. So I started streaming Wednesday nights and Sundays. I mentor. And so my mentee and myself are on the stream and we do live coding on Sundays.
Nice. Cool. Okay.
And Wednesdays we do like different topics as far as like getting hired as a junior engineer, code newbie. Because I'm really into the code newbie kind of movement.
Is amazing.
I want to help like as many people, and it's really scary because it's such a hard gig to be an engineer nowadays. And even for myself, like I am just constantly running to learn all the new things, and that's what it's like.
Oh, yeah.
And
it's
regardless
not just
when you
HTML and CSS anymore.
And you're just like constantly learning to keep up, and it's like.
Thank you, everybody. We got some more coming up.
So many times it's inside my heart.
Hogs me it in the heart.
All right, we're out.
Okay.
Thanks
so
for